Portrait painters and landscape painters came into India in the late 18th century, and it was quite interesting that they seem to have informed each other's work to a great deal and to a great extent. In many instances, landscapes were introduced into portrait paintings, and you saw them as receding backdrops and backgrounds, which gave a sense of grandeur to the portrait. And this was subtly introduced in most paintings because you sort of got a three-dimensional view of a two-dimensional medium, and that was really exciting for the patron when they saw the final image. People from small towns who went to get their portraiture done, they wanted to be depicted as heroic figures. Extra jewelry accoutrements were added to the painted portraits which didn't exist. Turbans were put on when they weren't wearing turbans. So a kind of magnification of the person. So everybody really, at whatever level of society you were, wanted a depiction that was far more glamorous than perhaps your existing life to a great extent. In the mid-19th century, a continuity of image making that happened was the styles that the Western artists had brought into the subcontinent. And this remarkable portrait by Benjamin Hudson, I say remarkable because look at the fantastic colors, look at the academic realism of how brilliantly he's captured in this picture. At the same time, this painting tells you something else. It's a fantastic academic study. I mean, very rarely do you see paintings of this quality now anywhere except in very important museum collections. For me, what's really fascinating about this is that bulk of the frame is taken care of by the fabulous red velvet curtain, which seems to anoint this person as somebody from a upper middle class background, perhaps a royal, perhaps from one of the major zamindari estates of Awadh or Bihar or Bengal because of the kind of costumes he's wearing. The artist has captured small minute details from his waist belt which was visible, but also at the same time, despite this enormous level of beauty in the portrait, you can't really read the person. He or she is just to be seen staring at you outright. You can't really read. So it's a brilliant academic portrait. It captures the mood, it captures the times. But around 1857, when the first uprising of India's independence was ongoing, the fact that perhaps it's to mirror complexity where the person was feeling that I'm not sure what I'm doing here right now. Maybe this is the situation that the country is in. And that is something that comes out in this blank stare of this person. In the 19th century, we didn't have too many women being portrayed, either as portraiture in painting or in photography. One exception to the rule was the very westernized Parsi community that lived across the country. Especially in Bombay, you had a very large Parsi community who constantly were getting themselves portrayed by photographic images and in portraiture format. And one of the more remarkable images in this show is of this Parsi matriarch who's seated on a chair. If you see, the artist has positioned her on a slight turn. Her entire figure is moving away. It's looking at you from a sidelong glance, but the entire diagonal of the body is actually taking you, creating a sense of three-dimensionality in a painting which is not something that you would see very often. So it's very skillfully done. And for me, really what is most exciting is that the painter has made no concession to try and make this portrait a pretty one. It's capturing a beauty of the person the way she is. So the fun part begins when photography comes to India. And you start seeing the uses of the photographic camera and its lens in play across different styles of portraiture. You had people who were never seen together. Their photographic images were combined and collapsed into a collage. You could see groups of people coming together. The second way photography was to influence portraiture was very crucially when photographic images were projected onto canvases, and then painters were to fill those canvases in. So you had very good likenesses which were to be emerging in the market.